welcome to YarnGasm. I'm Kristen and this is episode 232. If you are a returning viewer, thank you so much for coming back. And if you're a new viewer, thanks so much for checking out the podcast. This is a podcast about knitting, spinning, hand-dyeing yarn, sewing, and making all the things in Brooklyn, New York, where I'm from and I live with my husband and our adorable cat Bella, who you just met. And as always, I'm very happy that you're taking some time out of your day to chat about all those things with me. So before I get into what I've been making this week, I'll just pop on the screen where you can follow me around the interwebs. I am most active on Instagram, on Ravelry, and I will say email is the best way to get in touch with me if you want a timely response. And yes, if you haven't already, please feel free to join the YarnGasm Ravelry group, which is a very awesome place to be if you want to partake in some of the giveaways and the knit-alongs that we're doing, and just a place to chatter, ask questions, share your projects. It's a fun place to be, so hop on over there and check it out. And speaking of knit-alongs and giveaways, I have a winner to announce for the Shawl Society 2 from Curious Handmade. If you're not familiar, Helen Stewart of Curious Handmade Designs has a new collection of patterns coming out called Shawl Society 2. If you are familiar with her Shawl Society 1, you are aware how awesome and beautiful all of her patterns are. And she has generously offered 3 promo codes for her Shawl Society 2, which is a 6-month pattern club. So every month you will receive a new shawl pattern in your Ravelry library. How awesome is that? So every week for the next 3 weeks, I will be announcing one giveaway winner. There is a thread in the YarnGasm group with a prompt if you would like to enter to win. You have 2 weeks left, so hop on over there and just leave a comment letting me know how you know spring is finally here. I left a prompt. My own way that I know spring is here is that I hear the ice cream truck for the first time of the year, and I'm like, yes, spring has finally sprung. So that's my own brand of crazy, how I know spring is here. So anyway, I'd love to hear your thoughts. But yes, I do have a winner to announce this week. I used random.org to choose that winner, and the winner is number 127, Vishaw7. And she says, I feel like spring has finally sprung when the mud on my farm dries up. The animals and I are much happier. That does sound like spring has sprung. So congrats to you. I guess I will just PM you on Ravelry with a promo code, and yay! Congrats! I hope you enjoy your subscription to Shawl Society 2. And yes, speaking of Helen Stewart, I am hosting a Curious Handmade along. It kicked off on April 1st and it's going all the way through April, May, June 1st, so it's a 2-month knit along. It's pretty straightforward. Just choose any pattern you desire by Helen Stewart of Curious Handmade Designs and join in the fun. I will share with you my projects, my whips that are currently underway, but all the details for that knit along are over in the YarnGasm Ravelry group, where there's a thread for the Curious Handmade along. So okay, without further ado, I will dive into what's on my needles. So while we're still on the topic of Curious Handmade Designs, I guess I will share with you what I'm knitting for the Curious Handmade along. And I have to be very honest with you, I have not made much progress on this project, but I am knitting the Apple Blossom socks, which is a new sock pattern by Curious Handmade Designs. And yeah, I've managed half a heel so far on one of the socks. And yeah, if you tuned in last week, I have not made much progress at all with these. Just there, again, not enough hours in the day. I have not had time to sit down and devote much time to them, which is sad because it's a pair of socks, you guys, and these are such a joy and pleasure to work on. But yeah, I really just haven't had time to work on these, but here they are, and they're beautiful, and I really love working on these when I do have the time. This stitch pattern is so intuitive, it's easy to memorize, and I've just been, again, when I've had time, I've just really been enjoying working on it. And the yarn is Nora George yarns in the Thistle colorway, which was given to me by Tracy herself of Nora George Yarns at the Edinburgh Yarn Festival. And again, it was just so wonderful meeting her in person, and she was just so kind. She gifted me a skein of her yarn, and thank you so much, Tracy. I really love it. So these are definitely some souvenir socks for me, happy memory socks from the Edinburgh Yarn Festival. So I don't know, I probably will not be wearing these just because I want to remember and encapsulate everything that was Edinburgh Yarn Festival into these socks. So yeah, again, lots of happy memories being knit into them. And if you can see here, I have a cute, adorable Progress Keeper, which was a gift from Nina of the This Old Knit podcast. So I love this little guy. He's just been keeping me company. Just a little happy narwhal, so I love it. And yeah, I have not put much of a dent in the second sock. I'm knitting these concurrently, by the way, if you were just tuning in. And this one actually has a Progress Keeper from Hannah. Hannah of the Corner of Craft podcast, which is another awesome podcast you should totally check out. She makes these really adorable beaded stitch markers. They're so cute. I love them. So yay, that's where I am on the Apple Blossom socks. Again, loving this project, just haven't, I don't know, my sock knitting mojo, I will be totally honest, has been kind of on the side. Just because I'm trying to get a whole bunch of other things off the needles, if that makes any sense. Because I do have some shawls that I'm working on and a sweater that I have to finish. My honey pullover, that has been long suffering and languishing in a project bag, and I have to finish it. I have to finish it. It is such a simple knit. I think that's what's getting to me with it. It's not getting to me, but being that it's just a simple knit, just a round and round stockinette, it's not what I'm craving at the moment, if that makes any sense, which is probably why I didn't finish it on time. I co-hosted that knit along with Nina, again, from the This Old Knit podcast, and hers turned out beautiful. She finished her honey pullover. I want to finish it. It's just, I want to enjoy working on it. I want to enjoy working on it when I'm knitting on it, not feel like it's something that I have to knit, or anyway, you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, that's another project to share on another podcast, but I will finish it. I will finish it sometime soon. Anyway, okay, moving along. Again, sticking in the theme of curious handmade designs, I am still working on my snow melt shawl, which was a mystery knit along. Again, it's by Helen Stewart of Curious Handmade Designs. It was, again, a mystery knit along, and the pattern has since been consolidated. Everyone knows what it looks like now, so I'm not giving anything away. But yes, I'm taking the slow boat to finishing this. So, but here's where I am. I finished clue 3. And now I'm a little bit into clue 4, which seems like a very, very simple, very delightfully mindless knit for clue 4, because it's all just, you know, knitting and purling, and yarn overing to increase the stitches. And yeah, I have officially entered the black hole of shawl knitting, because there are officially over 500 stitches on my needles right now, and the stitch count is only going to go up. But the fact that it's only knit, 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 purl, 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 I'm not complaining. It's wonderful. It's just taking me a little longer to finish than I had hoped. But this is my own hand-dyed yarn, Voolenvine yarns on the Nouveau base, which is a superwash merino single ply yarn. And yeah, I'm loving it. I'm loving the color combination. This is the purple here is my Moonburn colorway from the first installment of my yarn club that kicked off, I believe, January or February. And then this one is Aphrodisiac, this peachy color, which was a free swim colorway. And then I'm using Poe, which is a lovely light shaded purplish kind of gray in here. So yeah, again, I cannot describe how awesome this pattern is just to work on. It's a massive shawl. Not gonna lie, this is gonna block out to be a cape of sorts. But it's just been so wonderful to knit, so relaxing and intuitive. Could not recommend this pattern more. I could definitely see myself knitting another one, just in a different color combination, obviously. But I will say that is the one risk you take with mystery knit-alongs. This is my first mystery knit-along, and I can see why. I mean, as I mentioned, I'm thoroughly enjoying it, and I'm very happy with what the finished object is going to be. But the one thing about, in hindsight, had I known what the finished object would be, I would probably go with different colorways. Just because, you know, knowing myself, I don't know, I can see myself wearing this obviously, but I would have definitely chosen a different colorway combination. You know, knowing me, I go for like the darker colorways. Anyway, I'm definitely having a lot of fun knitting this, as I mentioned 50 times already. But yeah, here's where I am. And I have, after clue 4, I have one more to go, and kind of want to switch needles now because I think I'm using, this may be, I want to say, well, to begin with, this is a US size 5 or 6. I believe it's a US size 5, and I really can't read what that is in millimeters. I believe it's a 3.5 millimeter needle, 24-inch lengthwise. It's obviously time for me to switch over to a longer length cable because all that you can see, like my stitches are getting scrunched up on here. And unfortunately, I really don't have any free needles at the moment, so I may have to panic order some. I love calling it panic ordering. It's really not panic ordering, but it's like, oh my gosh, I don't have any of those needles available, so I have to go onto the Amazon or Amazon Prime myself some more needles. But anyway, see, I will say Amazon Prime, again, not endorsed in any way, just a fan, because if you need something ASAP, it's here in like 2 days, which is crazy. So the fact that I can just order needles and sometimes have it waiting for me by 8 o'clock in the evening is just a total luxury. And it's probably not, you know, I don't know, it's not a good habit to acquire. Yeah, anyway, I'm rambling on. But yeah, very much enjoying this project. Cannot wait to finish it because I really, I mean, yeah, I have all these other projects that I want to cast on, and I would love to be able to just wear this. So yeah, that's where I am with that. And then moving along, as I showed off last week, I finished my Excuse Me shawl by Stephen West, and when one finishes knitting a Stephen West shawl, one must cast on a new Stephen West shawl, like I do apparently these days. And that shawl happens to be the eyeball shawl, which totally out of my comfort zone. I don't know what possessed me to cast this thing on. It was definitely, I will say, it was definitely K-Pause from Do You Knit and Christy Glass of the Christy Glass Knits podcast, or what, YouTube channel. I wouldn't say I don't know if you could call her her YouTube channel a podcast, because she does a lot of interviews, and then she also has like these quick little vlog episodes that she does. But check out her YouTube channel, because if you really enjoy interviews, especially with knitters and makers, she's awesome. She definitely has a lot of great interviews on there, and I especially really enjoyed Manch, where she interviewed all purely just men who knit, and yeah, you don't hear too much about men who knit in this community. So I thought it was a really awesome idea. And I was introduced to, like, not personally, but you know, I found out about all these awesome guys who knit. It's awesome. So yeah, I will post a link to her YouTube channel in the show notes, so do check it out. But yeah, anyway, total tangent. My eyeball shawl. I have finished knitting the iris, and I have finished knitting I finished knitting the pupil, and I finished knitting the iris. So that's all done, and now I get to move on to the Sclera, which I mispronounced last week. So thank you to all of you who have corrected me. It's not Sclera, it's Sclera. So yeah, so I get to start that now. But yeah, the yarn that I'm using is Skinny Dipping Yarns in her Space Pants colorway, and then the iris the Space Pants colorway, and then the iris I use Skinny Dipping Yarns again in the Olives colorway. And yeah, I'm trying to match my own eyeball here. If you think I think it's a close match. I think so. Yeah. Okay. So that's where I am with this. And for the Sclera, I am going to be using La Bien Aimée, which I also mispronounced last week. So thank you so much to everybody who corrects me whenever I mispronounce something. It's very helpful, especially when it comes to a foreign language, because I know I am the queen of butchering foreign to me words. But yes, French, I am challenged in that area. But anyway, I was calling it La Bien Amie, but it's La Bien Aimée, apparently. Amy, like it's Aimée, I believe. Yes. Okay. So I will be using her Gateway Purple colorway. I don't know if you can see this, but yes, it's so pretty. And I picked this up at Edinburgh Yarn Festival. And as I mentioned last week, a lovely viewer had mentioned that if I want to use this as the Sclera, I'm going to have to use a second skein as well, because there's just not enough yardage in this to cover the whole Sclera. So yeah, I panic ordered a secondary skein from the interwebs, and that is still arriving. I was hoping that it would get here. I would have, you know, it would buy me time because I was still working on the pupil and the iris when I ordered it. But alas, it's not here yet. And I want to wait before I start the Sclera because I'm just a little concerned about dye lots. I want to make sure that, I want to see, like, I might just alternate skeins so I don't end up with two mismatched Sclera sides, if that makes any sense. So I'm gonna hold off to get that started, although I really want to finish it. I want to get started on it, but I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna be good and wait for it to get here so I can make an executive decision about that. But yes, and in case you're curious, I'm using High Sharps, my knitting needles of choice, US size 5 again, which I'm using a US size 5 for my snow melt shawl. So I believe I said that that was a 3.5 millimeter. I was mistaken. It is actually a 3.75 millimeter needle. So yes, that's what I'm using. And again, I'm probably gonna have to switch to a bigger, yeah, loop sometime soon. I don't know, we'll see. But the cool thing, I don't know if you guys know about, you're probably aware of this if you have read any of Elizabeth Zimmerman's books on how to knit a pie shawl or anything. The cool thing about knitting pie shawls is at some point you can just, at some point of knitting a pie shawl, you can just use the center of your pie shawl as a basket to hold your yarn, which is genius. How awesome is that? I really need to start knitting more pie shawls because they are a lot of fun. So yay, that's where I am with that. So that is it for whips. No finished objects again this week, but I do want to mention another knit along that I am co-hosting with Shauna of the Adelaide Cottage podcast. We got into talking and Shauna, she's a genius. She was brilliant. She's like, hey, you know, we both love mauve and why don't we just co-host a mauve along? And I thought it was brilliant because why didn't I think of that? So yay, we're co-hosting a mauve along, which I announced on Instagram, and I've opened a chatter thread for you guys to just start getting excited about it and chatting and sharing your ideas for what you want to knit and what projects you're thinking about and what yarn you're thinking about. So hop on over again to the YarnGasm Ravelry group. It's all there. Check out Shauna's Ravelry group. We're just getting the party started. But yeah, it's kicking off May 1st and it's going all the way through July 1st. So again, 2-month knit along. It's gonna be a lot of fun. I'm still trying to decide what pattern I want to knit. I think it's probably going to be, I don't know, I was thinking about the amulet shawl again by Helen Stewart. I'm on a total Curious Handmade kick right now, you guys. But yeah, that is definitely a contender. Yeah, I'm just toying around with a whole bunch of other ideas, you know, but Lord knows I have a lot of mauve in my stash. So there is no shortage there, but it would be nice to actually use some of it, right? So yeah, definitely hop on the bandwagon if you have some mauve in your stash or you would like to acquire some mauve and knit something with mauve. But people were actually asking me what qualifies as mauve. What is it exactly? What color is it? I would say it's a very, there's a wide spectrum of mauve, if you will. So it's pretty much a very pale purple or pale pink with either a hint of brown or gray to it. It's very, very Victorian-esque, if you will. That's what it makes me think of. But yeah, it's it's my ultimate favorite colorway or color in general. Anything mauve, I love. So, you know, it's a very appropriate knit along. Yeah, and I'm just wondering why I haven't thought of it sooner. But anyway, it should be a lot of fun. Cannot wait. I do have some giveaway prizes in store for you guys. But speaking of giveaways, I'm going to move on along to mail because I did receive, speaking of giveaways, some really wonderful prizes in the mail from some lovely, wonderful makers. So as I mentioned, I received some really wonderful packages in the mail from some lovely makers. And the first is from Natalie of Tailored Knits That Fit on Etsy. And she had reached out to me and generously offered to give up 2 packs of her stitch markers, one for me and one for you lovely viewers, for a giveaway. And yeah, so thank you so much, Natalie. I will pop in a video here so you can see all the really beautiful stitch markers that she sent. They're all so different and so unique, and they're all handmade, so really, really, really awesome, generous giveaway prize, because, you know, you can never have too many stitch markers. So thank you so much again. And of course, I will post a link to her Etsy shop in the show notes. And the second one is from, if you are familiar with the Knitmore Girls, or I don't know, I feel like a lot of podcasters have talked about Leslie Wind. She also has an Etsy shop, but she makes jewelry. She makes just really, I mean, she's a metal worker, but she makes functional jewelry for knitters. And I mean, I love her packaging. This is absolutely beautiful. I'm not sure if she meant for me to keep one and one to give away. I'm not sure. I have to double check with her, but these are absolutely beautiful. And this one is my favorite. It's actually a ring that doubles as a cable needle. So how beautiful is that? I mean, it's just awesome. But yeah, you just either wear it on your thumb or your ring, and it's adjustable, so you know it can fit whatever. But it's beautiful. I mean, amazing. And the other one is this beautiful, beautiful darning needle. So you know, if you are an avid sock knitter, you know, it's just like this really special darning needle that you can use to graft your toes or weave in ends, and it's just really, really special. So Leslie, thank you so much. This is absolutely beautiful, totally unexpected. She reached out to me out of the blue and I was like, oh my gosh, it's Leslie Wind. But yeah, she's been on my radar for some time, and I've been wanting to treat myself to some of her really beautiful pieces. But here's her card. Really beautiful. So yay, this will be, I think I will be offering up one of these for the Curious Handmade Along, which ends June 1st. So one of these will be a giveaway for that. So yeah, so again, thank you so much to both Natalie and Leslie for those wonderful, beautiful giveaway prizes. Totally unexpected, and yay, cannot wait to share them with you lovely viewers. But yes, that is not all for mail. That is not all. I was a little bit naughty this week because I got wind that Nora George was having an update, or I should say Tracy of Nora George Yarns was having a shop update. And as I showed you, I'm knitting the apple blossom socks out of Nora George Yarns, and I've heard so much amazing things about her yarns from Katie of Inside Number 23 and some other podcasts. So I happened to be around on my computer when she had an update, and I treated myself to this lovely mess right here. I love this so much, and I saw it's very rainbowy, but mermaid. It's called Mermaid. But the cool thing about this yarn is it's tweed. Not only is it super rainbowy, but the tweed, the little bits of noil in here are all rainbow colored. So it adds like this really cool like layer or dimension to the yarn. It's awesome. So yeah, I was really happy to jump on this update because yeah, I was kind of craving some fun, colorful socks, you know, or sock yarn to knit with. But yeah, anyway, super happy. This came last night. Very excited to finally have this in my stash. And yeah, I will of course post a link to Nora George Yarns in the show notes, like I do everything. So yeah, that is it for mail stash acquisitions. I've got to really hunker down and be good, but you know, when it comes to yarn, what's the point of going on a yarn diet anyway? So before I answer this week's Ask Away question, I just want to quickly mention that I have actually started doing FAQ videos. I only have one so far, but I definitely want to get in the habit of making more because I do get some questions that are asked quite frequently. And I only have one out right now, and it's what sewing machine do I use? So lots of people, I feel like, are new to the podcast, and they obviously aren't caught up with previous episodes, but I do get that question asked quite often, so I figured, you know what, let me make a video. If I am asked again, I can just quickly link to the video instead of repeating myself over and over again. And plus they're fun. They're actually really fun to make, and I feel like people responded really well to them, so I'm definitely going to be making more. They found it helpful, so I'm so happy. And thank you to everybody for all the wonderful, awesome feedback. Yes, again, they're super fun to make, so expect more. And yeah, and I will try, even if it's not a frequently asked question, I will probably try and create, you know, just some really fun videos, how-to stuff, and, you know, when I have time to do that. And this week's question is from Rosebob. Rosebob on Ravelry asks, "Hi Kristen, you mentioned in one of your most recent episodes your love of the tarot cards. When did you first start..." sorry, when did you first get into them? What was your first deck, and what decks do you have? Are there any future ones you have planned to acquire? I am a fellow reader and quite curious, lol. Okay, so yes, I do collect tarot cards. I don't have a significant collection, but I do like to collect fun ones. Again, I'm by no means a professional reader. I got into it by basically browsing Instagram and stumbling on Caitlin French. If you're not familiar, she is a very talented, wonderful knitwear designer and maker, and I love following her Instagram feed because it's just so awesomely goth and witchy, and she's absolutely gorgeous. I have a total girl crush on her. But anyway, she posted something about she dabbles in tarot as well. I don't know how experienced she is, but she from time to time posts just like her drawings from her tarot card, and I love the deck. I was just fell in love with the deck that she had, and I was like, those seem so cool. And you know, well, you know, I don't know, I was drawn to the deck, and I was like, you know, it'd just be cool to have, just to have fun, dabble in, see what it's like. So let me go get the deck. So this is the deck that she has, and this was my very first tarot deck. It's the Wild Unknown. And I have to say the artwork in here is absolutely beautiful. It's just, I can't describe it. It's like every card is, there's so much thought, and if you're not familiar with tarot, it's basically a deck of cards. Each one has an image on them, and there are many different drawings that you can do. You can, the most common one is kind of like a 3-card drawing where the first one represents the past, the middle, the future, and then, oh, I'm sorry, the first one is the past, the middle is the present, and then the third one is the future. And then depending on what you get, you basically do a reading based on the cards that you've drawn. And there are no redos. You just work with the ones that were given to you, or the ones that you drew. And you basically, see, some people, there are many different ways to go about it. I don't obviously take a magical approach to it. The reason why I like it is because it really lets me tap into my subconscious, if that makes any sense. Like, I love dreams, I love analyzing those types of things. And this, like, just staring at the images, I get to just kind of work out what each card means to me, like each symbol. And you know, it's not just about, you know, the subject on the card. There are little details within each card. You know, it could be like the 3 of Cups or whatever, and you know, while there are 3 cups on a card, there are other details, there's other stuff happening in the background of the card that can, you know, affect how you perceive what that card means, if that makes any sense. So the way I usually do it, and I don't do it often, I should start doing it a lot more, but if there's a question that I have, just a general question that I'm having a trouble, you know, making a decision about, I just do a quick little like 3-card reading or 1-card reading, and just it kind of puts things into perspective, if that makes sense. So I'll just stare at the card, you know, I'll ask a question, myself a question, draw a card, look at it, and then just contemplate it, just meditate on it and see where, you know, what that card has to say, and you know, just kind of relate it to the question, if that makes any sense. That's how I use it. And you know, people are often scared of getting like the death card or the devil card. If you draw the death card, people often get freaked out. But I think it's important to mention that, you know, should you draw that card, it doesn't necessarily mean death. It just means the ending of something. So for example, if you are in a relationship that's pretty rocky, you know, and you draw that card, it could just mean that that relationship's may come to an end. It doesn't have to, but it you know, if you let certain things happen, it could just come to an end, and that's all it could mean, you know, just hypothetically. That's one scenario. Or if you're in a job that you really don't like, you know, or you know, you're slacking off or something, and you draw that card, it's like, okay, well, if I don't take certain steps, that job could come to an end. I could quit, I could get fired, whatever. So I don't know, just a little, you know, explanation there. But anyway, without getting into too much detail, yeah, I just find them fun to collect. I love the artwork. I appreciate the artwork and the whole theory behind it. And I will admit, I am a closet psychology fanatic. Like, or you know, I just love learning about psychology and, you know, how people's minds work. And like, whenever I have a dream, I'm always wondering, like, what does it all mean, you know? So anyway, this just kind of ties all into that. And yeah, like I said, I love collecting them, especially really fun ones. So yes, Wild Unknown was my first deck. The second one is the classic one, just because I wanted it. It's the Rider weight deck, which everyone is probably familiar with. Yeah, and this is actually the story behind this deck, the making of it is actually really interesting. Definitely check out Stuff Mom Never Told You, which is a podcast that sadly they don't have any more. It came to an end. They don't have any more. They don't publish any more podcasts, but they did have an episode where they talk about the history of tarot, and it's really fascinating. So, and, you know, just check out Stuff Mom Never Told You. It's an awesome podcast if you're into feminism or learning about feminism and the history of all things women. So, yeah, Rider Waite deck, awesome. And then this one, if you watch the podcast, I am a huge Edward Gorey fan, and of course, Edward Gorey, fun fact, was a collector of tarot cards as well, so it only makes sense that he had his own deck. Now, this is not a legit, like, your typical tarot deck. It's the Fantod pack, and it's not a full deck. I believe there are, like, what, 52? I'm sorry, there's 78 cards in a typical tarot deck. But this one comes with, I forget how many cards, but anyway, it's supposed to be a parody on tarot cards, but you get, it's very like macabre, very tongue-in-cheek. But yeah, you get certain cards like, let me see, I'll pull out some examples for you. This one's my favorite. It's so creepy, the child. This one's also my favorite. It can mean so many things. The limb. So you get the idea, and you know, you basically just draw a deck and have fun with that. But yeah, I have another one. The other one that I have is totally just for fun. It's called Food Fortunes. So yeah, if you have no idea what to have for dinner, you just consult the deck and draw like an appetizer, a main course, and a dessert. You can draw one card and let that be your guide. But yeah, those are the tarot cards that I have. I do enjoy, as I mentioned, I do enjoy collecting them, just, you know, for fun. I was chatting with Magdalena of the Wolf and Schaefer podcast, and she made some recommendations because she also collects them as well and does, you know, her own readings and stuff. But yeah, again, you know, there are people who take it very seriously, and I respect that. Me personally, I just do it for fun and just to, you know, gain perspective on certain things. You know, I find it very helpful. And you know, if you are into that, you know, I sometimes keep a journal, and you know, if I'm working something out in my mind, you know, I just, you know, write what write my takeaway from what I've drawn from the deck or whatever. But I mainly use the Wild Unknown card just because I love the artwork so much. But yeah, I definitely hope to collect some more. I think when I told Dennis I started collecting them, it kind of freaked him out a little bit, but anyway, yeah, but anyway, it's just, I find it fun. So anyway, that is just a little preview of my tarot card collection. I will of course post some links in the show notes if you're interested in learning more about tarot, and of course all the stuff that I mentioned I will post in there as well. But yeah, I think it's fun. I'm having fun just kind of, you know, dabbling in it, so definitely check it out. And yeah, if you have any questions about or any questions that you would like me to answer on the podcast or in video form like I did with what sewing machine that I use, or, you know, I will do my best to answer them, if not on the podcast, in the actual thread on Ravelry. So moving along, I'm gonna chat shop update because I have an update tomorrow, Friday, April 21st at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Or if I'm being totally accurate, I will say Eastern Standard Daylight Savings Time, because we are in fact in New York observing Daylight Savings Time. So, but I feel like whenever I say Eastern Standard Time, people are usually aware of what that means. If not, let me know, and I will, you know, just going forward, I will be sure to say EDT, Eastern Daylight Savings Time, just to make things even clearer. But anyway, that said, let me go get the yarn that will be in the shop tomorrow. Okay, so here's a little preview of what will be in the shop tomorrow. Of course, this is just what I have dyed so far. I am going to be dyeing some more today and hopefully some more tomorrow. So this is just what I have right now. And yeah, but before I get into that, I just want to say thank you so much to everybody who purchased yarn for me last week. It always means so much. So thank you. And just to give you guys a heads up, if you are a subscriber to the Sock Club, I dyed and I packaged the third and final installment of that club this week, so those will be going out hopefully today or tomorrow. Yes, it's been a busy week, so but yeah, I hope you guys and whoever subscribed, I hope you enjoyed the yarn coming your way. I definitely had fun naming it, and I love the way it turned out, so can't wait for you guys to get it. But yeah, without further ado, I have some more paranormal that will be in the shop. This is very popular. I was very surprised that people really enjoyed this colorway. So that will be in the shop. Here I have it on Volca, which is my merino nylon cashmere base. And then I have it on Blitzed, which is Sclera, superwash merino nylon and Sclera. And then I will have some more Hot Mess. So here we have it on my Nouveau base, which is my single ply base, and then also in Volca. So I have to say, single ply yarn, I really love single ply yarn these days. I know some people don't like it because they either find it too splitty or fiddly to work with, but honestly, I love knitting with it. It's definitely, if you are not a fan of knitting with it, I would try switching up your needles if it's not working for you on bamboo, which I find I enjoy knitting single ply yarn on bamboo needles as opposed to metal, but if it's not working for you, try switching it up, because sometimes it all comes down to the tools that you use. So give it a try before totally nixing it, because I really love the way that single ply yarn blocks out, and it's just wonderful. I'm in love. I'm so glad that I brought it back. Yeah, Hot Mess will be in the shop. I will have some more Not a Creature Was Stirring. So yeah, that's back in the shop. And yes, to answer your question, it will be a regular now. It's not just a holiday colorway, so I'm very glad about that decision, because it is, you know, a very popular colorway and I love it too. So, and this is a colorway that I haven't dyed in a while, but Moondrop will be in the shop. Moondrop will be in the shop. Here it is on Nouveau, and then I have it on Blitzed again. So it's just a really lovely, delicate, kind of like shaded light lavender, if you will. So there's that. And I will have some Dirty on Purpose. Here it is on Footsie, which is my BFL. It's my Superwash BFL Blueface Luster nylon sock yarn. And then Nouveau. I will have all these colorways dyed across Nouveau, which is my singles base. Again, my Footsie base, which is the BFL nylon. Still my Blitz base, which is the Superwash Merino Nylon Sclera base, and then Volca, which is my Superwash Merino Nylon Cashmere blend. So there's that. And then, wait, that's not all. I have a new colorway called Tea Leaves that I dyed up. I did this in collaboration with Olivia of This Handmade Life. She's coming out with a new design and reached out to me and wanted to know if I could dye a colorway for her new design. And of course, I love everything Olivia makes, so I could not say no. So this is the colorway that I came up with. So yeah, it's just like this very delicate pinky peach with, you know, just some hot pink speckles and some brown speckles and some subtle yellow speckles. It's just really a really pretty colorway that I love. So yeah, that'll be in the shop. Yeah, so again, I'm gonna be dyeing more tonight and tomorrow, so stay tuned for that. And again, if you would like to keep up to date with what will be in the shop, definitely subscribe to the Voolenvine Yarns newsletter, which you can find by going to, www.voolenvineyarns.com and scrolling all the way down to the bottom and just entering your email address there. And every week you will get a newsletter in your inbox letting you know what to expect in the shop, just to keep, and of course, like other events, news and events and whatnot. But speaking of news and events and other things, I have some exciting news. I was chatting with Kelsey from Primrose Yarn Company. I had attended her trunk show at Brooklyn General, and we got into talking, we hung out a little bit, and she's like super awesome. She's a wonderful person. I love getting to hang out with her, and we hit it off really well, so we got into chatting and we decided to do a collaboration together. I'm super excited, you guys. So we were chatting yesterday, we worked out the details, but yes, we will be collaborating, so we will both be working on a colorway. each of us. I will be dyeing one colorway and she will be dyeing another colorway, and we have a theme and everything, and it's just gonna be awesome. Those yarns, by the way, will be listed for sale on June 5th, 2017. So I just wanted to get in your ear about that and get you guys all excited because it's gonna be freaking awesome. I cannot be more excited. So anyway, without further ado, I'm gonna move along to Blather, where I chat about what's been going on in my life, should you care to stick around and hear about it. So yeah. So, what's been going on in my life? Aside from dying and running around like a chicken with a head cut off, not too much. But I will say last week was kind of exciting because Dennis and I believe it was Friday night, we go to this really awesome Ethiopian vegan restaurant. Sometimes this place gets mobbed, and I was a little apprehensive about going because we can never get a seat. There's always like a 45 to an hour wait. But Dennis was like, you know, we can just hang out, have a drink at the bar, and, you know, wait for a seat. I'm like, perfect. All right, let's go do it. And kind of excited that, you know, kind of happy that we decided to go there, because guess who we saw hanging out at Cafe Buna, or Buna Cafe. I think it's Buna Cafe. But yeah, we were standing at the bar, and then I'm looking one person over from Dennis, and I was like, wow, she looks really familiar. And sure enough, I put two and two together. I'm like, it's Mary Louise Parker. I totally fangirled, you guys. It was Mary, if you're not familiar, she's from the show Weeds. She's done a lot of stuff in the 90s, but most recently she's been on Weeds, and a bunch of other stuff. But it took every ounce of my being not to go up to her and fangirl, because yeah, it was definitely her, because she was there with a group of people. They had scripts and everything. They were clearly having just like an acting powwow or something, whatever you want to call it, or like a reading just to go over and get acquainted with each other, or so that's what it seemed. And we ended up getting seated right behind them, and she was sitting at the bar with a group of people, and Dennis and I were just kind of like eating right behind them. And you know, sure enough, when it was their turn to be seated, because they had a big group, I guess they were waiting for a larger table, she actually dropped her purse on the floor, and a whole bunch of stuff spilled out, and then gathered it all up, and then they went to sit. And then turns out we didn't realize until after they were seated that she had dropped her glasses. They were on the floor, and I was just gonna like, let me give it back to her, let me give them. I'm just like, no, you're gonna fangirl too much. So I was like, you're right, you go give them back to her. So Dennis got to give her glasses back to her, although he did not give them back to her directly. It was one of the people at the table. She was sitting all the way at the end. But anyway, it was still cool. It's an awesome story. I love celebrity sightings in the wild, but who knew? Bushwick, Brooklyn, yay! But anyway, that was an exciting event that happened, I guess. But the rest of the weekend, what happened? Yeah, it was just a lot of relaxing. I got some sewing done. Easter happened on Easter Sunday, like it does every year, and I got together with my cousins, who I rarely get to see, which is ridiculous. I really enjoy their company and hanging out with them. And my little cousin, my older cousin's daughter, she's 8 years old and super adorable, and I feel like every time I see her, she just keeps growing and growing and growing. It's ridiculous how quickly they grow, these kids these days. But yeah, we ended up, they're in the process of moving, so their house isn't ready, so we just all decided to go to a hibachi restaurant, which was a lot of fun. So it was me, Dennis, my cousin, her husband, and my aunt and uncle, who are, I believe, in their 80s now, and they're very traditional, and you know, normally they like the sit down at home dinner, but they're very open to trying new things. And if you've ever been to a hibachi restaurant, it's Japanese. It's where you sit around a giant cooking area, and the chef comes and he chops up, it's like a whole juggling act. It's really fun. They have like fire when they cook and everything, and then they do this really funny thing where they shoot while you're cooking to get you all excited, and they actually do a thing where they shoot sake, which is Japanese rice wine. They shoot sake into your mouth, you know, whoever is open to doing that. Pun totally not intended. But my cousin's husband did it, and then Dennis did it, and then he got over to my uncle, who's in his 80s, and he was like, oh, you want to try? And he's like, all right. So he, like a trooper, he did it. It was hilarious. So that was a lot of fun. I didn't have a sewing segment this week, but I did get some sewing done, as I mentioned, over the weekend. I whipped up some project bags for my cousin and my aunt. Granted, they do not knit. They don't really craft at all. My aunt, not so, she used to, but not so much anymore. She actually was one of the people who taught me how to knit growing up. If you recall in like previous episodes, I learned to knit when I was 8 years old in 2nd grade, and just when I was so infatuated with it over the weekend when I wasn't doing it in school, I would visit my aunt with some yarn and needles and, you know, ask her to help me cast on and switch colorways and everything. So, you know, she used to knit, but not, as I just mentioned, like not so much anymore. But yeah, I whipped up some project bags for them, just, you know, for them to put, you know, makeup in or whatever, and they really, really loved it. Especially well, they both really loved it especially because I used fabric. I used my wine fabric. Let me see if I have it. But I used this fabric for my cousin because she, like me, loves wine. So she really got a kick out of this. And then the other one is more like coffee and wine. So my aunt, she loves a good cup of coffee a lot. Couple times a day, so it was very appropriate for both of them, and yeah, they really appreciated it. They really genuinely appreciated getting that, so that made my day. Yeah, and afterwards we got ice cream, and then we went home. Dennis studied some more, and yes, so yeah, that was our weekend, last weekend. This week I have just been working like a crazy woman. I'm trying to switch up my schedule a little bit because, knowing myself, I am a morning person. I have a lot more energy in the morning, and the way I've been working is getting all the admin stuff done during the morning, and then after all that's done, dying at night. And by the time, you know, like 6 o'clock rolls around, 7 o'clock, I'm still dying and I'm exhausted. So I'm trying to switch that around. So I'm doing the labor-intensive stuff in the morning, and, you know, get a lot more dyeing done, obviously, and then save the rest of the stuff, like the admin stuff, fulfilling orders and packaging stuff, for the evening, or, you know, like later in the afternoon. So trying that out, I think it's working very well. And I also like reorganized the kitchen to make it more accessible. I got another double burner, so I can up my dyeing game and just get some more yarn dyed in there. So very excited about that. And yes, otherwise I am considering hiring, well, I'm not, it's happening. I'm going to be hiring like a part-time person to help me with all the admin stuff, like packaging, fulfilling orders, answering emails. Like I really do need that, just like for a couple of hours during the week, 1 or 2 days. Anyway, when I'm ready, I will of course post about it, but it's something that needs to happen because yeah, I'm a busy lady. So yeah, that's what's been happening work-wise. As far as other things, yeah, as you know, I listen to audiobooks while I work. I listen to podcasts and the like, and lately I know I talked about listening to, what was it, The Wild Sea? No, that's my shawl pattern, sorry. I was listening, The Winter Sea. Yeah, I was listening to that audiobook, but that's kind of on the back burner. I actually stumbled upon this other audiobook that caught my eye on Audible, like you do, and it's called, well, first of all, if you're familiar with the Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up by Marie Kondo, this is kind of a parody, and I will say it's not for everybody, but the title totally caught my attention, and it calls itself a parody, and again, it's not for, I will say, if you're easily offended by crass words or swear words, then it might not be the book for you, but I do highly recommend it. It's called The Life-Changing Magic of Not Giving a and it's by Sarah Knight, and you guys, it is hilarious. It is exactly what I needed to hear, because I will say, while I am getting better at these things, it's just, time is precious. I value my alone time, I value my time in general, because while I'm working, I really just want, like on the weekends, I want my weekends. I really just want to sit down, knit and craft, and, you know, while I do enjoy getting together with friends and family from time to time, I feel like there are some expanses of time where I feel like every weekend there's always an obligation and always something going on, and something where I'd rather just prefer not to, like an event that I prefer not to attend because I'd rather be doing XYZ. So just, you know, overextending myself, saying yes to too many things, and just being agreeable and, you know, not really just, yeah, just saying no to certain things. And this book basically says, you know, you don't have to put up with all of that stuff. Take some time for yourself and enjoy life a lot more. So that's basically what this book does. And it, you know, while there are things where I'm like, you know, I would prefer not to go to that event. It's basically just a guide how to politely decline invitations, or just get out of situations that you really don't want to be in, or get out of, or conversations for that matter. You know, just it's a very tongue-in-cheek way, and very helpful, I will say, way of just, you know, how to deal with those things. So I highly recommend it if you're not offended by language. Clearly I'm not. I was listening to Squirrel Pie Productions with Tommy, and we both, like, she was saying how she really enjoys swearing. I don't swear on the podcast because I want this to be family friendly, or if I do, I obviously bleep it out. But yeah, if you know me in person, I swear like a longshoreman. I truly enjoy swearing. It's just very cathartic, and again, like Tommy said, it's fun. It's just fun to swear, because I didn't get to do it when I was little, so I do it now because I'm a grown-up and I can do whatever I want. So anyway, if you are interested in that, I will post a link in the show notes. Yes. So anyway, that said, I think that is it for this week. I really wanted to keep this down to a shorter episode because I do have a lot of work to do. But anyway, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to reach out. I love hearing from viewers. Leave a comment in the YarnGasm Ravelry thread, or email me like I said. And yeah, have a great weekend, and I will see you next time. Happy knitting. Bye. So before I get into what I've been making this week, kitty cat, oi, oi, keep it down. So before I get into what I've been making, kitty.